Hello, this is Greg Smalley on Pod 366, a Weird Movies podcast, joined by Giles Edwards this week, as
Hello.
often am. I have another short slate this week, no guests. We're just going to run down a couple of titles and spend some time talking about the Venice Film Festival, which just concluded, and whatever titles there might be of interest. First off, is anything going on, Giles?
No, a break in the weather as we limp slowly toward autumn, and I'm slowly slogging through some sound editing for another thing with the Canadian musicians I've worked with before. So
The
in
Canadian
progress, but
why don't the Canadian musicians have a name? Why are they just
oh,
called?
they do. Sorry, this is they are known as Ignore That Door, and they are, I guess, to describe their tone quickly, dark ambient might be the fastest way to say what they're doing, which is probably one reason they've worked so nicely narrating a number of classic dark tales that I've narrated. So
Okay.
fun bunch.
I do like Canadian musicians as a band name though, so
Oh,
it might be a little tough to distinguish them.
yeah.
So let's just jump right in with what we got this week. Can you see that?
Hey, I've seen that movie.
What do you see there?
I see a mustached, suited gentleman standing by a corner window, leaning, shall we say, assuredly on the back part of a stylish chair, with prominently featured over his shoes a pair of blue floor protective booties.
Might that be John Hamm by any chance?
That would very much be John Hamm standing there.
And he's in Corner Office, which is a movie that you saw and reviewed for our site, so you can discuss it. I'll preface it by saying the general reviews were kind of mediocre, and nobody seemed to really hate it. A lot of the attitude towards this slightly surrealist satire, I think, was just kind of a meh. John Hamm is good. But it's really nothing we haven't seen done before. I think you tended to like it more than most, though.
Yes, and I'd also I think I took a bit different things from it than a lot of reviewers, because there is satire in it. Pretty much any film set in an office for the past, what year is it? I'll say upwards of half a century, possibly even more, typically has at least a little bit of satire. There's certainly a bit of surrealism. I took it more as a character study of a particular kind of individual who is not typically thoroughly explored, at least in anything that I have seen or read about. The main character here, Orson, is, I believe the terminology here is on the spectrum, and so has his own private viewings of as he sees it, not always rational, sensible world around him, and has adopted various mechanisms to interact with it. And one of them is the titular corner office. That the hook in the movie is that he perceives this, he can go into it, he can do work there, but none of his coworkers seem to believe in its existence. And so, that lends to the surrealism, certainly, but as this is much more about the Orson as a character, and how he's, how the world appears from his perspective. His narration is with us for the entire movie, and I imagine he's probably in every shot of the film. So yeah, I wouldn't go in there looking for necessarily a comedy. There are definitely funny moments, but it's not, it's not an Office Space kind of thing, or anything of even a whatever stranger versions of that we've seen around here. So I do recommend it, and it for those who may not be familiar interacting with various, at least this particular type of spectrum individual, it can be very illuminating, because I personally know enough like him to immediately recognize that, oh, finally screen time for this this kind of individual.
Now, so my only question is it stated in the movie directly that he is on the spectrum, or is that your
That
interpretation?
is, it's a good question, Greg. It is not stated. It is the film is, as I said, entirely from his perspective, and he views himself as normal and sensible, and in very many ways, certainly in as many ways as any given one of us is normal and sensible, so is he. But I have a long history of not dealing, pardon that language, of interacting and being friends with a fantastic variety of introverted people. And I very much saw elements of them in him, and some people very much like this person, that an importance being that taking time to understand can get you most of the way to being comfortable and friendly with well, almost any kind of person, I'd say.
I will mention one other thing about the cover. I think it's something you stressed in your review, is the color scheme, which is
Oh yeah.
very gray. It's all gray except for his blue, the blue covers on his feet, and the blue of the chair. And
Yeah,
that's
this is
all monochrome.
got to be one of the least colorful films in color I've seen.
It's almost like my background. It's
Yeah, well, it's a very grayscale world, except for that, yes, that shock of blue with with the yes, the business in question is wonderfully named. It's the Authority Incorporated, and among the various eccentricities of this business, which we never quite learn what they do, is they are concerned about maintaining the state of the floors. So every morning, every employee comes in, puts on a fresh pair of booties for the office at the day, and there's a bin to throw them away at the end, having kept the office floor in as pristine condition as possible. I guess for the sake of the employees, because there are never visitors or customers in this realm that were shown here. So
no, it's just a little thing to demonstrate that the external world is as crazy in its own way
yeah.
as he is in his way. Okay. So this one can probably be dispensed with pretty quickly, because I'm guessing you haven't seen a Walkabout. Have you?
You guessed correctly.
I haven't either. But this is the latest in Criterion's 4K UHD restorations, which they've been rolling out pretty regularly. It seems like we have one to talk about maybe every 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And those are just counting the weird ones that it's not
That's yeah, I forget they have this other sideline in movies that we don't pay attention
other
to.
sideline in mainstream movies. But it's Nicholas Roeg's first film, probably 1971, I believe. Don't quote me.
Up here. You believe correctly.
Okay. It's his first solo film. He did co-direct performance. But this is where he stepped out and did it all himself. He's also a cinematographer, set in the Australian outback. Ginny Agutter is in it as a young child star, and she went on to have a career. I think the boy who plays the Aborigine went on to have a slight career in Australian films, and they're the two main child actors in this. What happens basically is a Australian family, from the cities goes to the outback. the father dies under circumstances I will not reveal, so that they may be a surprise in case you're watching it. And his two children are then stranded in the outback and meet this Aboriginal boy who is on his walkabout, his coming of age ritual, where he goes out alone into the outback and survives and comes back and is a full member of the tribe, and they interact in some manner. As you can probably tell from the cover, and Rogue's reputation as a cinematographer, it's going to be a glorious looking movie and probably something that would benefit from the 4K UHD presentation. Giles, anything to add on this movie that neither of us have seen?
Yeah, that covers the film quite nicely. The only sort of research I did was I checked out the IMDb page and saw that John Mylon, he plays the father, for whatever brevity there is in this movie, and I remember him, of course, from Crocodile Dundee as the sort of local white buddy. And actually David Gulpilil, who is the Aboriginal boy, also showed up in Crocodile Dundee and 2, and I guess possibly 3. I didn't look that deeply into the list of credits. So some of the core people of Australian cinema are in this.
It's a Crocodile Dundee connection. Well, we won't go any further into the Crocodile Dundee side of things. Let me
Leave that to Pete Turbovich. That seems up his street.
Let me throw up a movie that I don't know if throw up is the right term. A movie that we've both have seen. I don't know if you'll recognize this though.
Oh, I can tell from the the thing surrounding that red swirl that I've seen that film stock recently.
Yeah. That is Reflections of Evil, which we interviewed Damon Packard, the legendary In His Circle director of Reflections of Evil, last week. And I would recommend anybody who hasn't to go back and listen to that interview, because it's, especially if you've seen the film. If you've seen this film, it's a must listen to interview, because there isn't anything else out there on the film as in-depth with Packard as we did. I think I can say that. There's other people who have written great things about the film, but directly from Packard's mouth speaking, I think that's the biggest one. He's done other interviews, but they weren't all specifically about Reflections of Evil. Anyway, we only mention this because it is screening in Los Angeles for you listening tomorrow afternoon. Could be sold out already. Damon will be there introducing the movie. You can look it up on the American Cinematheque page. Yeah. We'll link that for you. Just a reminder to anybody in Los Angeles who wants to go to this rare event. Here it is.
At the Los Feliz Theater.
Yes. Anything to add, Giles?
No, I definitely, other than to second your recommendation that you check out this entry into cinematic history, particularly seeing as the man behind virtually all of it will be there, and that will doubtless be a rare treat. Yeah.
And it is, if you haven't seen the movie, it really was originally released straight to DVD, not to theater. So a theatrical screening of it is kind of a rare, and would be interesting to see how audiences reacted to this movie, which is exceedingly strange, I would say.
Yeah, and it looks like it's the mega cut. So this is pretty much everything that at one point he felt appropriate to put in for the film, although he did remark he had some second thoughts about this, that, and the other length. But yes, 138 minutes for you to reflect on evil.
Yeah, as he pointed out in our interview, the reason he's screening this cut is it's because the the only decent cut that he has, not because it's his preferred cut.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a preferred cut. He didn't, and the film, as interesting as it is, probably could have done with some editing down. I think the 138 minutes is definitely too long.
And he seemed to be the first who would admit
Yeah.
that too. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard, it's easy to understand. He'd probably been working on it for years. He'd assembled all this. He wanted to get it out. He didn't want to work for another year, cutting down another 10, 15, 20 minutes of it. Although a shorter version would be better. And with today's technology, it would probably be easier for him to edit it down. He was working on film. So yeah, there we go. That's a reminder about Reflections of Evil. And let's move on to our final topic. We have about 20 minutes. Don't know if we'll need it. We're going to talk about the Venice Film Festival. And Giles, I'm guessing you don't know what we're looking at, but it's a quiz. Tell me what we're looking at.
Describing it? Well, let's see. There's a man in front of I'm guessing the Venice Film Festival backdrop. Bearded gentleman, close cropped beard there, presenting in his hand as he looks at the camera a statuette of a golden winged lion.
Okay, so that's very good, but
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, the crux of my question was, who is it and what is he holding? Can you answer what he's holding?
I bet that's like a really great award from the film festival.
Yeah, that's the top award.
Okay.
And since you don't know the gentleman holding it, I will just tell you it's Yorgos Lanthimos.
Oh, good for him.
Who won the Golden Lion. And that is one of the films that I wanted to discuss. And I'm going to, if I can, bring up the Venice Film Festival website for us to peruse as we talk about it, with a nice website with lots of images. We can do this. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, I can.
All right. What do you see?
I see, let's see. It looks like a period piece. There's a young brunette who may be drawing something or writing. She has a frilly, shoulder-heavy shawl or some item of very chiffony, pale, fluffy, ruffled clothing, and kind of awkwardly wrapped around her in a strange kind of embrace that makes their faces perpendicular to each other is a mustachioed gentleman with well done up hair, wearing a fairly generic looking suit. Looking in the background, almost looks like they might be at a restaurant or something, maybe a lounge. Oh, there's some text below too. How about that?
And I think her eyebrows are rather
Prominent.
Yeah, I would add. Well, that is Emma Stone as the female. And I believe that must be Mark Ruffalo as the male in that picture.
Oh, yeah, okay, I can see that.
Incredible Hulk with a mustache.
Well, obviously.
Yeah. And that's Poor Things, which won the Golden Lion.
Oop, you're cutting
Just
out.
knocked my microphone off.
Okay. Good.
Now I'm knocking other things over.
At least we can hear you talking about that now.
That's yeah. So it won the Golden Lion despite being a weird movie, we think. From Lanthimos, it's almost certain to be a weird movie, although we will say that, for his most successful movie, he went pretty mainstream with The Favorite. However, this one's from an Alasdair Gray novel, which is a neo-surrealist novel, and it's a Frankenstein type story.
Oh,
A woman who dies and is brought back to life by implanting a brain in her body, but the brain is the brain of her own fetus. And
well, duh.
that creates all sorts of possibilities, I suppose, for exploration.
Yeah, I see Willem Dafoe has third billing here. I'll be interested if he actually has started to be a little odd again. Most of the stuff I've seen him in recently, he's been kind of straight melodramatic under the direction of Abel Ferrara.
Well, the trailer is out, and yes, he's pretty odd in it. Trailer will show you that the film is very stylized in its sets, and doesn't have as much of Lanthimos's trademark flat affect dialogue, where people don't really, they talk in a monotone and don't really express any emotions except for very subtly, and most of it's drawn from context about what the world where everybody is kind of flat. And so anyway,
I hear you're working on your audition for his
for the Lobster 2. I'm gonna be in the Lobster 2.
Lobster 2, the third claw.
Third
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, that's a name is for whatever reason still not burned into my brain, because my main exposure to that director is Kaneda, or whatever his first movie was. I've seen others of his, but that's he's still not in my immediate mental recollection, which is why I saw two other titles that I thought would have been ones that caught your eye, considering they dropped names like.
Yeah, let's wrap this one up, which we can do really quickly, and then we'll get to the other two. You're gonna guess. I picked 3 titles from Venice, which is now over, I should mention. Usually we cover these festivals before they start. We're covering this one after it's finished, because I don't think anybody in our audience was going to go to Venice to see these anyway. And these movies will all be out in theaters. It's a very big festival. Yes, did you? So with Lanthimos, we should point out that you've only seen his worst movie, I think. Oh, you probably saw
I've seen
Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yep.
Because we saw that at a watch party. So you're not the biggest Lanthimos
connoisseur, I think. Yeah, I don't. I haven't seen. I don't feel I've seen enough to really say I have a firm opinion, other than read. I think I've read all the reviews about his movies, but have still only seen, I guess, probably his most. Well, however, wherever Killing of a Sacred Deer fell in for popularity, and of course his debut of.
And Kaneda is the only one I haven't seen, and I liked all the others.
I recommend you keep it that way.
Yeah, it doesn't have a good. It doesn't have a good recommendation or a good reputation. Okay, but what were the other 2 films? If you're done with.
Which
will be in theaters in probably November. I think I didn't look it up, but it'll be in theaters, and it's actually an Oscar contender.
With that cast, yeah, that director.
But anyway, so what were the other 2?
Well, the ones I saw, one of our favorite directors for the site, Quentin Dupieux, has a thing, and that thing is about, I'm not sure how exactly to pronounce this, but Dali. 6 A's.
A's. I only put 5 A's when I searched for it, and it has no idea what.
There it is. So that obviously, not just because Quentin and Dupieux are names I recognize, it's got a, shall we say, a commendably surreal photo film still. And so
that's definitely one of the 3 I picked. Yep. Dali. So
exclamation! I gotta remember how excited he is at the end too. And at least on my display of the webpage, right below that, a film by Harmony Korine.
That is the other one. But let's talk a little bit about Dali first. You might have said everything that there is to say.
Well, I like the synopsis here, and I like movies that do this. A young French journalist meets Salvador Dali repeatedly for a documentary film project which never gets to start shooting, which, of course, will have echoes with a bunch of stuff that Dali, and more so his good buddy, whom I've reviewed a number of things for.
Well, I think that's kind of a joke, because the film project which never gets started sounds like Buñuel.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Buñuel and Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie and Exterminating Angel has a similar idea. People can't.
The flip side of that doesn't end.
And so that's kind of a joke that would be in a movie about Dali, because Dali and Buñuel started out as collaborators, but by this point they had famously split up and were no longer good buddies. So to use a Buñuel plot to do a Dali movie is a little cheeky, in my opinion. I certainly like the chair Dali's sitting in there, which looks like a pair of boobs for the backrest.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I think I was a half step behind that realization. So,
and well, I mean, it's not obvious. They're just two globes. Who knows what that is meant to evoke?
Could be anything.
It could be anything. Yeah. I'll read the director's statement since it's right here in front of me. To write and direct this tribute, I connected with Salvador Dali's cosmic consciousness. This is Quentin Dupieux speaking, of course, and let myself be guided, eyes closed. First, the master ordered me to summon several brilliant actors to play his character, too complex for just one man. Then together we visited Buñuel to steal a few images and ideas. Then he led me by force into the depths of his morbid anguish and into dreams to guide me. And finally, I just about regained control of my film to simply make it a declaration of love to this man. As Dali himself said, his personality was probably his greatest masterpiece. My film modestly tells that story. And yeah, I just want to say, I've liked all Dupieux's films to varying degrees. A lot of them seem, they're all good. They're all worth seeing. A lot of them seem a little more minor than others because he dashes them off so quickly. He makes, 2 films a year, and they're usually kind of short. This is the project that I'm most excited about from him for a while, because it just seems like a match made in heaven. One of the few surrealists still working in film, doing a surreal biography of one of the greatest surrealists of the past. It's just chef's kiss. Anything else, Giles?
Oh no, looks great. And as you say, he just sort of bangs them out. This one's going to be 79 minutes, so anyone can fit that in their viewing schedule.
All right. So the last one that you mentioned was indeed one that I had highlighted, and those were the 2 that you thought.
Yeah, having totally skipped, especially since I didn't look too hard actually in the In Competition, which is another reason I probably overlooked Yorgos Lanthimos, because we generally don't have much interest in the things in competition for this kind of festival. So I only gave that a very cursory glance, and it was on the very right-hand side. But anyway, so yes, in the Out of Competition, yes, Harmony Korine caught my eye.
I wish I could get the still up, but the website seems to have frozen. Anyway, go ahead and describe Agro.
I guess he's going for a slight leap thing with Agro Drift, the I being replaced with the numeral 1. Another running time almost exactly the same as the Dupieux thing at 80 minutes. And this still is really intriguing to me because it is hyper saturated. Ah, there we go.
Got it up.
Hyper saturated, masked vigilante looking person, menacing but not, real looking, automatic weapon in hand, Nito mask with big orange eyes. And so I didn't even read the description, but from what I know of Harmony Korine, and then tying it with this picture was kind of enough for me to think, oh, okay, that's probably going to be a little different from what he has often been up to.
Yes. So this movie, the first stills and so forth were leaked while you were at Fantasia, and we were talking. Pete Turbovich was co-hosting with me, and so we went over this 2 weeks in a row because new information kept coming out about it. It stars a rapper who Pete, being hip and young, is familiar with, named Travis Scott. I don't know, but I assume I think I've heard the name. I don't really know anything about him because I don't follow rapper hip hop. But he also did a short music video compilation put out about a little before this, where Harmony Korine directed one of the segments, and the Gaspar Noé directed one, and a bunch of.
Okay, well, that's a very particular kind of mega drawing power.
Yeah. The trailer to this one is also out, and we'll link it. And Harmony Korine fans, I think, will be happy with it because it's very annoying. It has some loud, irritating noises and so forth, which he is known for.
Okay, shot entirely through thermal lens. Well, that'll explain. Okay, I was thinking that looked kind of infrared.
Yeah, it's infrared but colored. You
Yeah.
can see when you see the trailer, you see a lot of it's done video game style. There is actually like a video game avatar of Korine in there, which is pretty creepy looking, to be honest.
I'm sure.
You want to read the synopsis, Giles? Can you?
Sure. In the seedy domain of Miami's criminal underbelly, a seasoned hitman embarks on the relentless pursuit of his next target. Shot entirely through thermal lens, he navigates a twisted world where violence and madness reign supreme. Tensions unravel, leading to a psychedelic journey that blurs the lines between predator and prey.
Okay. So yeah, those are the three movies. Poor Things from Lanthimos, Aggro Drift from Korine, and Dali from Quentin Dupieux, that we liked from Venice. There are also, I should point out, some other movies there. Oscar contenders debuted there. Maestro, the Leonard Bernstein biopic. Priscilla, the Priscilla Presley biopic. The Killer, David Fincher's latest thriller. And Ari from Michael Mann. All those premiered there.
Killer has Tilda Swinton. That's always a promising thing.
And Lanthimos beat up that.
Yeah.
Also, other things interesting that debuted there. There's something called The Theory Von Allen, which may be a weird movie. Going to have to check that out for more. And there was there's a new Shinya Tsukamoto movie there, but it's realist. He's abandoned weird films apparently, and is only doing realist historical dramas lately. So I hope we get him back at some point.
Well, I have seen one of his realist historical dramas, and it was quite good, but not.
I'm sure it's good, but we need him doing more.
Oh, I know it. One thing. What's that?
Realist people working out there.
Oh yeah.
And the last thing that debuted there, could be weird. It will be on Netflix, I think, because it's definitely going to be on Netflix, even though I don't have a confirmed date. It is a short by Wes Anderson, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, which is a Roald Dahl short story adaptation. Got very good reviews. It'll be on Netflix because they bought all the rights to Roald Dahl, so I know it'll be on Netflix. They're doing a series, like an anthology TV series, and that will be one of the installments of that. So Wes Anderson fans will be very happy. He gets a feature and a very long short movie out.
Yeah, there was one other thing that caught my eye, which I suspect probably won't be weird, but El Conde, the dark comedy horror that has Augusto Pinochet as a vampire.
Yeah. That one, I thought that one had actually is not debuting at Venice. It had come out before.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it had, because I caught that description on Rotten Tomatoes new releases, and I considered covering that one. It was like on the borderline, so I wasn't sure, but yes, it could be. That could be. Pinochet as a vampire could be. Now, so that just shows how high our standards are, because most people would say Pinochet as a vampire. Obviously, it's a weird movie, and we're saying, well, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? It's on the borderline. So that's it for this week. Do you have anything to add, Giles?
No, I think wrap up very nicely. I see our timer says that we are not pushing the limits here, so we can keep it that way. And yeah, looks like it was a fun film festival in Venice. A bunch of non-weird things there. Looked like they would have been neat. Maybe someday for fun, I'll see if I can get accredited there and make an extra special trip.
So next week we'll do Toronto. Toronto will wrap up, and we'll put down Toronto, because there's at least one film there that Giles will be interested in. I don't know if he knows what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I have
Find out next week.
Excellent. I'll see you then, I'm guessing.
All right. Talk to you then. We don't have a guest scheduled. I might have somebody pop in this week or next week, but we don't have anybody scheduled for sure. So probably be just me and Giles chatting again. All right. That's it. Thanks. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.